So I was sitting here thinking about the soul's journey. The journey of the soul when it decides it wants to come to earth and live, experience, learn, whatever it is that the soul decides it wants to do. And I picture like a commission, and they go over what you've experienced from other lifetimes, not necessarily on the earth, but maybe on other planets. And it's like when you're graduating college and you're getting a master's degree or a PhD, and you go in front of the committee and they talk about what you've accomplished, what's your thesis, what you've learned. And maybe for some of us, we have to do it multiple times. Or maybe we do it for multiple times because the stakes get higher. It's like high school, it's like elementary school, high school, college, master's, PhD, scholarly work, where you become a scholar. I don't know if I'm making that word up, but I see that. And then you review, and then you decide what are the stakes that you're willing to go through or to risk in order to remember who you are. Because once you get to whatever space, new space, you kind of forget who you are. And the map you create before you leave, like you speak with your advisor kind of, and you go through a plan and you set the courses that you're going to experience in order to remember who you are, in order to graduate. And so some of us, the course load was easier. The course load was not as hard because maybe we weren't willing to risk. We weren't willing to raise the stakes with regards to how much we were willing to endure. And then you understand that Earth is a place that is very physical, that is going to lure you into this physical existence through different faculties or through different experiences, things that you will want to do that will become pleasurable, that will stimulate the ego and suppress other aspects of yourself if you allow it. And those are the stakes of determining when you're on Earth, which is physical, which is masculine in a way of experiencing life. And it also inhabits this spiritual feminine energy, the yin and the yang. But the attraction, the things that lure you are more ego driven, are more physical driven, are more pleasure driven. And so you have to determine, based on the curriculum, based on what you've decided, based on the map you've created, which can be astrology, the guidance system you've created for yourself as a soul here. How am I going to remember who I am? What am I going to do to remember who I am? What stakes, what risks, what trials and tribulations am I going to set for myself to remember who I am? Because graduating for me, as I am processing this is remembering who you are, remembering that you are creator, remembering not that you're a part of creator, you're an extension of creator, but you are creator, having an experience here, having a perspective, because you are multidimensional. Creator is multidimensional. And so once we can come to terms with that, we graduate. But at the same time, you have all these things that lure you into the physical, into the ego consciousness. And so it's about balancing that yin and yang energy, so you realize that yes, you are physical, yes, you are ego, but you are also spiritual, you are also love, you are also unconditional, you are also multidimensional, and you are creator. And within that construct of the stakes, there are other beings here to assist you in that process. Whether you perceive them as good or bad is your choice. And being here, when you raise the stakes, things are going to happen that you will have to overcome to remember you are creator, to remember you are creator. And so from a logical perspective, not just from a spiritual perspective, because when we get to the spiritual perspective, I sometimes feel like we get lost into the heavens, if you want to call it that, into the etheric energy, the non-existent. But we also need to consider from a logical perspective how those worlds between logic, order, and chaos come together to create your experience here. And so by saying this, I want you to consider not only the spiritual aspect of yourself, but also the logical aspect of yourself, because you're always going to have to balance these things here, because this is the construct that you are within. This is the womb that you are inhabiting. So you have to understand your womb, you have to understand your environment. So as individuals, our stakes are going to be different. Some of us are going to have early childhood trauma that we have to heal, that we have to forgive and understand why they happened, and we have to recognize it and process it. And since I am not aware of what those are for each individual, all I know is through my own understanding of my childhood traumas, of my situations, and the process I had to use to heal, which was forgiveness of myself, forgiveness of those who contributed to that. So I would not get into fear or the part of ego that limits me, because there's nothing wrong with having an ego in this physical reality, in this physical construct. But as I mentioned before, there needs to be a balance between ego and the spiritual in this construct, in this womb that you are, or have invited yourself to be a part of. And so once you understand that, or make or create processes to understand, then you begin to remove the weight of your trauma and the baggage of your trauma. And by forgiving yourself, by forgiving those who were part of it, you allow for room for other things, for more spiritual aspects of yourself to connect with you, for more love to enter your heart, for more love to enter your soul, for more spirit to enter you, so you begin to remember who you are slowly. And again, for all of us, this is going to be different, depending on the stakes, depending on what you have constructed, the map, the curriculum, the space, the navigation tools you've set for yourself to remember, to graduate. And graduation doesn't necessarily mean that things won't be happening that you perceive to be good or bad. It's understanding that it is part of the construct and you can overcome it. And your place is to overcome it and to make this environment better, to make yourself better, to make yourself more conscious of remembering who you are. And so are all the people that are here with you as well, whether you know them or not. Or let's make it more broader, all the beings that are here are doing the same thing. They're all expressing their role, expressing themselves in different ways. So today, consider the things that you may need to heal in order to shed light, dark, whatever is necessary for you to get closer to graduation, for you to get closer to understanding that you are creator and to becoming conscious of that, and to rise above the physical lures, the physical temptations, the physical distractions. And again, I'm not saying that they are wrong, they are bad. What I'm saying is they are here to help you be the best version of yourself that you've wanted to be or you want to experience here in this womb, in this environment, in this construct. So consider, again, what do I need to release today? What do I need to face today? What do I need to forgive? And when you start that process of forgiveness, and it can be something really small or something very big, but don't be afraid to face it, to talk about it. And sometimes you have to go back all the way to your inner child and have that conversation. And having that conversation with your inner child will heal your adult self or wherever you are at right now. And there's no blame here. This is a conversation from one soul to another. And by one soul to another, it's you. It's always you. But your perspective is different. Because your child sees differently. Your inner child is going to see things differently than your adult self. And we need to merge that. We need to find the balance between that. Because when they are in a dualistic nature, they cause us pain. They cause us to have a distorted reality that hinders rather than supports and uplifts and allows more love into your life. And love is really big here because it's what balances the so many physical things that are here to tempt, to kind of keep you at a space where you may not be aware of who you are or what you're here to do. And again, this is not a bad thing. You know, if we're using the analogy of schooling, we may not, we may want to party and not do our homework or not go to class, but those things still exist and we still have to do them. We still have to learn mathematics. We still have to learn to write, depending, your progression, right? We have to learn all these different things to make us whole in a way, to manage this physical reality. But here, right now, there's more physical than spiritual, and we are needing to bring that into balance. It's not one versus the other. And this is what this shift is bringing. Every time when you kind of think about it, we've been in extremes. And I think this is the time where we have to balance those two. So consider the things that you have to balance. Consider the things that you have to heal. And consider the stakes that you may have put in order to remember who you are. It's like, how far down the rabbit hole do I need to go to remember who I am? And it seems counterintuitive. But it's not. Because it's like also saying, how much do I have to endure, to learn, to experience, to remember who I am? And when you start analyzing that from a logical and spiritual perspective, then you break the chains, the things that hold us down, that keep us in a state of forgetfulness. All right, I hope this message was helpful to you. I'm sorry I couldn't get on camera, but sometimes I have information and I can't always set up a camera to start talking to you. It's easier for me to just record what is being processed and then share it with you in this way. So I hope you understand, and I hope you find value in this information. And if you find it helpful, I would hope and like that you would share it with others so that they may start to remember, if they've forgotten, who they are And if they can, to start healing. If they want to start healing, because there's many aspects of us that need to heal. It's not just childhood traumas that need to be healed. Different things. We're all different. We're all having a unique but similar experience. Just like a college campus. We're all there to do something, but it's going to be slightly different for all of us. I love you, and I wish you well. Take care.